Currently on 7 News, they help you find your way, but in the wrong hands. Your GPS helps the bad guys find you. 7 News reporter Marshall Zelinger is live tonight. Marshall, you've uncovered a personal risk because of the information found in that GPS.
And Mike, that's because so many of these devices get stolen, end up in pawn shops before you can even report them stolen. I mean, how many of us really need to put where home is, where work is, directions to mom's house, even grandma's house? But that doesn't stop us from putting that identifying personal information in these units, which could come back and haunt us when they're stolen in that smash and grab.
It only takes seconds. Watch this surveillance video from an alley near 17th and Emerson in Denver. The car window smashed. One of the top items on a thief's list, your GPS.
Do you have any GPS?
We took our hidden camera inside metro area pawn shops where we found many GPS units. What we discovered on this Garmin, we saw on practically every device. Home addresses.
It's kind of a worry to have your personal electronics out there with all of your addresses and contact information.
Craig Wielensky was surprised to hear from us. We found his personal information in this pawn shop on what used to be his GPS. Then we called him.
Especially since it hasn't been wiped, I'm very glad to have it back.
Craig didn't report the GPS stolen. That's not unusual. The cost to replace the GPS wasn't enough to go through insurance, plus Craig didn't have enough specific information about his Garmin to help police find it.
They wouldn't have gone through every pawn shop looking for a black Garmin GPS, which is the only description I would have been able to give them.
And that's his, but he didn't pawn it here.
We took Craig with us to the pawn shop to find out who pawned his GPS.
You have to have an affidavit for everything that comes in here, correct? Can you show us who brought that GPS?
I can, because it's not against the rules.
When someone pawns an item, they have to show their driver's license and sign a declaration swearing the item is theirs to pawn. The serial numbers are reported to police to make sure the items are not stolen. This pawn shop did not know Craig's GPS was stolen because the serial number had not been reported to police. We wanted to know who pawned it in the first place. We were kicked out of the store. Then the manager came back out.
If you'd report it stolen, it would have been taken care of.
If I have that serial number and I report that serial number to police and that GPS ends up in a pawn shop, is there going to be a match and I'm going to see it again?
There most definitely will be a match.
Denver Police Detective Kristen Drennan walked downtown parking lots with me to show me just how easy drivers make it for thieves.
Oh, here's an iPod.
GPS in the windshield.
If they're walking by and they're looking for fast, easy cash, they're going to walk by, see, oh, there's a GPS, break the window, grab the GPS, and walk away.
How often is a GPS stolen and you get a serial number from that GPS, from the owner?
Not very often.
Just like in Craig's case, his GPS pawned for a quick buck. His personal info out there for anyone to use.
I'm glad I got it back. Thanks for the call.
Police tell me had Craig reported this specific serial number stolen, once this would have ended up in a pawn shop, it would have been flagged and given back to him. Now, here's something that surprised me. There were a few of these GPS that I couldn't even access at the pawn shops because these security features, you can put a password on here that no one can really get into if it ends up in that pawn shop. Another way to keep your personal info private. Reporting live in Denver, Marshall Zelinger, 7 News.
Thanks, Marshall. Something that surprised us, too. You would think that once we found that Craig's GPS was the one in the pawn shop, they just give it back to him. Turns out he had to pay them $32 to get it back. He hadn't reported it stolen.